Hello there, my name is Rachel. Today we do a segment I like to call Forgottn Cartoons. In this segment, we focus on a show only lasted 1 to 2 seasons and automatically got cancelled. We don't know why, because the ratings wasn't that good, or actually was good. It could be dozens of reasons, but I only do this because there's some cartoons that deserve to be remembered because of how good they were, or at least how interesting, even they have a bad writing or bad something. But all that, I will break my rules if the show was more popular for the different countries it came from, but it never came here in the United States. That's the only time I will break my rule. Now let's talk about Long Live the Royals. This is a mini series back in the day, 2015, from Cartoon Network. This show only lasted 4 episodes. It sort of ended because once more, it's a mini series. It's a show that sort of promoted that sort of mini series craze that Cartoon Network had. The first miniseries Cartoon Network ever made will probably be Over the Garden Wall, and the last one they made is basically Infinity Train. This three anime series was one of the best shows that Cartoon Network ever made, but somehow I love the Royals. It's the miniseries that nobody really remembers. You really don't know why, because the show was sort of surprisingly very charming. It's a show that kind of looked like a regular show for a reason, because one of the writers did work at a regular show. You even have the sort of sense of humor, but once more, it goes completely a different direction. It's one of those series that works on a family called the Royals and how they daily life, how they affect them, how they deal with them. But I love it is sort of the atmosphere of this show. This show feels sort of the kind of like the dark ages. Everybody easily died just by coughing, but they sort of mix it up with some new music from not the 60s, the 70s, in between the 80s. You have that sort of kind of early rock pop kind of thing, and it really works. It's that sort of charm that you don't expect, especially you have two different things smashing together that you think it shouldn't work. That sort of kind of old Middle Ages with rock and roll, that it shouldn't work, but it does. Especially how they introduce every character, or introduce this kind of old tonality with new tonality that really well blended, that you feel it just doesn't work there because that technology did not exist. You don't need little things. Like laptop, phones, and you just see this sort of old gear kind of gear, and it's just sort of incredible how everything just clicks so well. And I think it sort of give me a choose expression. It's just like wow. But of course, I think it really works stranger is all 5 characters. You focus on the first 4 episodes that are basically, you could say, one naughty characters, but they still have some depth to them that you just really wasn't expecting. But there's very little, but it's there. That's what's some of the kind of fascinating watching this series, how much they actually accomplished so little things they have to do. For example, you have one of the main leads, Peter. He just focused on the first episode. He described me, he's the learner of the family, the one who can't really make friends or doesn't want to make friends. He just want to do his little hobbies. Still, his father kind of forced him to, yeah, you need to do this sort of tradition we do with the bunny. In fact, it's this sort of a, not just tradition, this sort of length all 4 episodes about this tradition. They slip a bunny, the why they create this tradition and why you had to continue with. But once more, they just did this for Peter get out of his shell. And Peter kind of realized, like, yeah, I don't really have friends. Well, technically he does and he doesn't. He has this group of friends called the Daisies, who are sort of the definition of a rich, kind of spoiled, boring kind of group. That they are kind of interesting looking and they're very fabulous. They're basically what you think when you watch television, that kind of like rich life. Yep, that's basically what they are. But once more, Peter doesn't really click with them or his own family. In fact, he only goes with them is because it's the only people the same age as him, and also needs someone to do with a bunny costume. He sort of have to perform this sort of dance. Yes, because they never explain what this sort of bunny costume that Peter needs to wear. You have to basically perform this weird dance with someone. We just don't get the complete facts. He just sort of vaguely give you a description to understand what this tradition must do that day, and the next follow episodes they keep adding to other different traditions to understand how big this tradition really is. But once more, it's all about Peter figuring out who he must get someone to actually wear this costume. The very end, he sort of met this sort of girl who is all muddy. She's basically a peasant girl who kind of likes him, but as a friend, but not yet. It did leave a little bit open interpretation outwards that you don't know what we're going on to. Hopefully, you get season two. Spoiler alert: you never got season two. Yeah, it's one of those series that just lasted 4 episodes. But anyway, you have other characters like the princess Rosalind. Yeah, I know I probably said the name wrong, but anyway, the princess is sort of kind of stereotypical middle child that she just wants to go to his boyfriend's band, but her dad doesn't want him, and she's trying to break the rules. At the very end, she's trying to figure out how to confirm to his fathers and sort of bend to his rules the way like, if you trust me, if I do this, you let me go with them. And spoiler alert, she couldn't accomplish it because everything went wrong. But other than that, that's basically what she is. She's just a sort of very stereotypic kind of heavy metal punk girl, and you don't get much depth into her. But once more, they leave a lot of things in the floor. You can see you could go somewhere with her, like taking responsibility more, taking charge. But it's something that if it has a season two, I can see where you go with this type of character. And you have the third, certainly, and the most unlikable is called Alex. And this character is just a definition as a spoiler brat. He's small, he's pathetic, even his design, you just look at him, you know you want to hit him. You know he's a spoiler brat. But they do dedicate a one episode of the 4 episodes of him that he sort of can't get his comeuppance, that he want to hunt a wild animal or the traditional white rabbit, but he couldn't because it's too small. It's not yet right age to hunt, and he goes ballistic. He goes by himself and hunt this wild animal because the everybody keep telling him he doesn't exist. It's just a sort of a fairy tale for the traditions we doing this for the episode kind of deal. And luckily for him, yeah, the animal does exist, but it's one of those like how long it took him to find him, you realizing he sort of screwed up. And yes, one of those like you can see him, they attempted to automatically develop him a little bit more. If it had more season, you can see where he becoming more a better person. But once more, that's my guess because you don't really get much info why he like this, especially his two parents that they do not give the most development. You just get a sort of idea what they are. The king is basically an overworked father figure who has a lot of responsibilities, and he does love his kids. But once more, you really don't know much about him. He usually avoids work or just let himself go and getting fatter, and that's it. The queen is sort of similar. She's sort of, I can say, spoiled brat, but not really spoiled. She's sort of the common sense of the family, and she also a murderer because she did kill his own brother because she said, "I do not snore. I don't pretend I lied to," or something like that. It's one of those people that easily get pissed off and can kill you, and that's it. You really don't know much about this family, but they give you enough to give you an idea where you're going. And at the same time, you think, oh, some sort of boring, kind of typical slice of life cartoon. You have to say yes, but this one has so many unique ideas and approaches so many things that you just don't mind. Especially you have 4 episodes, just one watch the all 4. Things go really fast because the total is like a small mini movie, like 40 minutes of contact. But once more, it wasn't a wasting time rewatching this series. When it came out, I felt the same. I felt, yeah, it was okay, but once more, it's sort of charming. Later on, rewatching it again, I still remember why this show was so charming to look at. I think one of the most clever thing about this anime series, it sort of uses that sort of kind of clever humor. I thought the first episode, they use that sort of kind of trick. You use your phone to zoom close to the photos, but they don't really use phones. They use paintings, and how they use kind of clever idea of, oh, was that much at the very end? Can you zoom? And the artists who make the painting remake the painting many closer, and the queen keep repeating, zoom more, and the painting keep drying more and more and more, for you can feel that perfect crisp photo to see who's the background. Once more, it's something that this world had phones, but instead they use painters to make pictures. It's ridiculous, but it's just sort of clever how they use that. They kind of grab your attention. You're just like, huh, that's sort of interesting. And that's the whole thing. This whole series is just very interesting what the approach they retook. I think the only reason why this show maybe failed, there's some people think, oh, it's because it was sandwiched between uh gravity, not Gravity Falls, over the Garden Wall and an Infinity Train. In a way, I can say yes, but at the same time, maybe it's the art style, because the art style is sort of too much regular show, and maybe this is the reason why they kind of tank. Because I remember this series was promoted a lot. It was really, Cartoon Network had a lot of high hopes for this because they did have confidence about this series, but unfortunately it didn't just run. It didn't click with people. I mean, it had his fans. In fact, I'm best describe this series as sort of a cult classic because how enjoyable and easy to binge it really is, and you can see how dark this series can go or how charming. It has potential to be so much more, but unfortunately, you just have 4 episodes. I sometimes I kind of wonder if this series need to have more episodes. I mean, instead of having a 4 mini-series episodes, they just make it one complete season, getting 22 episodes. Maybe enough. It's one of those shows that it needed more time, because to make a show successful, especially this type of show, you need at least several episodes to make a fan base grow, to see how good this series really is. And I think the only mistake they did, besides make the similar art style and just make it a mini series, that this thing, if it had a normal 22, 25 episode run, it could actually blow up if you get more time to rerun some of the episodes. And I think that's the only crime this series has. It's just, it was sort of limited, and that limitation kind of hurts it. But other than that, I think this series is great. It was charming. Of course, I kind of wish they delved in so much why they was sort of fascinating about this sort of holiday and the role that holiday of their family, because they're the royal family, how they are very important, but they never go in deep. Yeah, I'm kind of curious where direction we go with the next tradition, or what kind of next thing they're gonna come up with for this series, because I can see you can do so many things with it. It's something that kind of shame that nobody really gave a damn, except for a few cartoonists who would just enjoy this series. Yeah, there's a lot of people do enjoy this, but once more, it's just a small group. If you never have the chance, you want to see this series, you can watch it in HBO Max. All 4 episodes and on HBO Max, you can watch it easily in one day. It's not a hassle. It's not boring. It's very colorful and very interesting. Now, I got one question. Do you remember this series? If you do, comment down below. If you don't, you want to give it a chance, go ahead. I got really nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.